What's going on, home team? What's going on? What's going on, world? It's your main man, the author. Right back at that ass again. Here's another one. I just want to make this brief video, man. This is going to be about the Ann Atwater movie, or I didn't really see the movie, but the Ann Atwater character or whatever. Well, I think it's actually a real person. But before I get into that, man, I feel like I haven't made a video in quite some time. But glad to be back in the swing of things. But I want to make this brief disclaimer, man. When I talk about like the problems with black women in the black community, I'm being authentic and sincere. A lot of black women are tired of the bad behavior of black women. Pretty much, I think watching these shows like Housewives of Atlanta has helped damage their psyche in terms of making them think that they have to try to compete with I don't know, white women physically. It really just shows how jealous a lot of them are of other races of women. Instead of finding the beauty in themselves, they try to compete with other women in terms of having the straight hair, by having the weave and things like that, trying to find their beauty or whatever, trying to find their beauty through a white supremacist lens. When I talk about their bad behavior, it's authentic, man. However, there are people on YouTube who try to use the gender debate as a launch pad to cater to white people or white supremacy. I.e., for example, they'll say, well, they'll use the problems that the genders are having with the black woman versus the black man in terms of how she dogs them out, how she treats them, so on and so forth. And this is just not a phenomenon here in the U.S. This is happening worldwide, right? Even though some of your Jamaican men don't have the balls to admit it, or some of your men from England, or maybe they're just too stupid to know what's going on. But it's really happening big time here in the U.S. with the black woman and the black man having the controversy. However, some guys will use that as a launching pad to say, they'll start by saying, oh, yeah, well, black women ain't shit, black women ain't this, black women ain't that. And then they'll use that to take it somewhere else and say, oh, okay, well, all black people ain't this and ain't that. All black people ain't shit, even though they're black. Then they'll take it a bit further and say, well, shit, if there was a race war, I'd fight on the white side, which is stupid. Then they'll tell white people that they should shoot black people and they're black themselves. And if a black person or if a white person really said that they wanted to hang this person, then they'd say, oh, look what he said about us. You got a lot of fake ass, bullshit ass people on YouTube as well, man, faking the funk, acting like, because they pander to, because white people are supporting a lot of these black folks, these black men who are on the forum, who are on YouTube, and they know that they have to say certain stuff. It's like the 21st century buck dancing, man. Basically, they say certain stuff. They use the gender war as a launch pad to further their own agenda. That way, they can try to get famous by saying the worst shit about their own race, knowing good and damn well if a white supremacist were to actually come for them, they would want help. They don't want to die at the hands of white people through violence, but they say stupid shit like, if there was a race war, they would fight on the white side, knowing that's impossible. They would never let you do that. Okay, and even if they did use you like that temporarily, they would kill you right after they won the war. So that's ridiculousness. And but what happens is guys who get on here and say stupid shit like that, where they'll use the gender war, they'll use the problems that black men and women are having between each other, they'll use that as a launch pad to cater to white supremacy. say ridiculous shit. Um, and they'll talk down about black women, even though they may have kids all over the place. Even though they have the same ghetto mentality as the same blacks they're talking about. Black women will use that as an example of why, okay, well, he's a fool. He was the main one saying black women ain't shit, but he ain't shit. He said this, but he has kids out of wedlock. He's running around. Not he's late on his child support. You know, he's pretending to have a home, but he's only renting it out. But he doesn't own it. He's flying chicks in to have sex with them. So he with that pimp mentality. So if he's talking against black women, and he was the most popular one doing it, and he's fucked up, then that discredits the movement. That means black women are okay. No, 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 no. That individual is fucked up. And then they'll say, well, anybody talking against black women are like that individual. That's not true. Because basically, me myself, yeah, I have problems. I've seen problems with black women all my life, ever since I was like 3 years old. In my family and outside of my family, in terms of bad attitude, bad parenting, disrespect, especially to other black men. A lot of them, in my eyes, they're mad. A lot of them are angry because they're not European, or they don't have European features because they're laws. Not saying that black men aren't laws, but for a long time, people have written black men off, and they said, well, our only hope is the black woman. But she's come to find out now she's more messed up psychologically than even the men. But my point is, even though I do recognize that black women have a bad attitude and they mistreat their men, it doesn't mean that I think all black women are fucked up. No, I mean, it's a growing number that are, but there are good black females, including racially mixed females who are part black, part Asian, or part black, part white, because people might say, oh, okay, well, if they're mixed, they're not really black, but they're not going to get accepted. If you're part black and part Asian and your black features show, chances are you're black. The black side of your family is probably going to accept you more than the Asian side of your family. Argue if you want. Now there are some exceptions, but usually racially mixed kids find more love on the black side than the white side. So although like you said, if you mix two colors, if you mix black and white, you get gray. Yeah, that is a separate color, but in most cases, you're not going to get accepted by the white community on that same level if you have facial features that resemble black, because they say certain things that you might take offense to. Now if you're a passer, I've seen kids that are pastors, then meaning that you're mixed with black, but you mostly have white facial features, then you'll have a better time blending in my personal opinion. But there are strong black women out here. There are strong black men out here. And as long as we're here, there is hope for the race. We aren't all stupid, even though it's a growing number of black women and men both getting out of pocket. There is still hope for us. And ultimately, I would never say if there was a race war, I would fight on the white side. That's fucking ridiculous. And then as soon as a white man were to threaten to hang me with a rope, I would say, oh, look what he's saying about us. No, he said it about you, but you said that you don't give a fuck about black people. So now granted, I don't embrace all black people. I don't embrace thugs because they're the cancer of our community. I repeat, I don't embrace thugs because they are a cancer to our community. It's like white people don't embrace they're the worst components of their race. They'll make it seem so in front of another race, but for the most part, they keep them on the outside. Thugs or mama's boys who judge men based on what shoes they wear. they're disposable, man. They're the lower end. They're not they're beta males, um, delta males. Now, not saying they should be disposed of. They should be killed off, but they're not the forefront of the race. They should play the background. They can't lead this thing and make it work in terms of getting us together. But yeah, I would never say shit like that. So I mean, I didn't want to go this deep into this disclaimer, but I just want to make that clear, man, because I've had people come to my channel and say, "Oh, you talk against black women, you sound just like this guy." Not everybody who talks against black women uh, is like that guy. That guy says a lot of other things. A lot of those type of guys say say a whole lot of other shit that has nothing to do with black women. You talking about you want to fight on the side of white people. If there was a race war, then that's going outside of black women. You're on some crazy shit. You don't give a fuck about your own well-being. And one of the two main instincts we have as human beings on the planet is procreation and what? Self-preservation. And procreation is kind of tied into the self-preservation. So how can you say you don't care about, white people attacking black people and you are black? So you're going against your own DNA, your own psychological survival mechanism, which is insane. But a lot of these guys are just faking it to because they get paid more by white people to make videos. I'm not getting paid for this, so I can speak candidly and freely. Thank God. So just to touch on that, man. But the video is about Ann Atwater, and I think that Ann Atwater is just symbolic of more confusion, the confusion that black women have here in America, man. And it's worse than black men because, I mean, here's the thing, man. I'm not even going to see this movie, the Best of Enemies. I'm not going to see that shit. Because, and I think it's something going on in Hollywood where, so Ann Atwater in the movie, I guess this happened in real life too. She was a civil rights activist. And during the 60s, they had the segregation with schools, which was actually a better idea in a lot of ways. But even though I know some blacks died as a result of it, a lot of communities was built up upon that premise too. But so-called segregation, and Atwater was a civil rights activist, and this Klan leader was, of course, against that. And I think they really had, in the South, it was really big where it was school segregation. I mean, really all over, but especially in the South. Black kids wanted to go to school with white kids, a part of that whole civil rights thing. And she was at odds with this Klan leader, and somehow they formed a bond or a relationship, which is disgusting, man. Because here's the thing. Here's the point of it, man. You can't. I mean, that's just terrible. That's terrible. You can't ask a Jewish person to form a relationship with a Nazi. Okay? In the animal kingdom, the deer, excuse me, the deer cannot form a relationship with a lion. You ever seen a lion and a deer walking in the forest together, just playing around gleefully? Nah, man, those two kingdoms are at odds. One hunts, and one tries to keep from being hunted. And the way it fights back is not physically, but it tries to outsmart. The deer tries to outsmart the lion, shake him, make him look stupid, make him fall down, and then the deer gets away. Of enough deers get away, the lion will starve, or he'll have to, eat another animal. What's my point? My point is, black people have been getting hung by the Ku Klux Klan since at least since it's the Klan's formation in 1880 in the 1800s, man. All right. It was World War I veterans, man. They used to hang black men who came back from World War I. Used to hang them while they were in their uniforms. Okay. Um, even in Tulsa and even in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Durham, North Carolina, you had blacks back in the day, and that's why I think this is our land first anyway, because you had black millionaires even in the 1800s, a number of them. Okay, and when the whites were jealous, when they burned down those communities, you saw businessmen in suits and ties, businessmen hung in their suits, okay, by the Klan, hung. A lot of those guys who were hung in the suits and ties, those were millionaires, man. Those are millionaires. Those guys own millions of dollars of property, oil, all types of shit. Okay, the Klan hung them, man. The U.S. government bombed Tulsa. Okay. The Klan. My grandmother was from Georgia. God rest her soul. The Klan used to chase my grandmother. She took me down to where my great grandmother lived. You know, looked like a plantation. I think a white guy did own that place. He was like a quote unquote overseer or whatever. And they had a little house up there, a little shack. I think he died and left it to my great grandfather, as the story goes. Yeah, the Klan used to chase, because even though the white dude left the land to my great grandfather, worked for him. The Klan used to chase my grandmother, and thank God she got away, because it wasn't like they talking about, oh, well, the young guys in the streets kill each other more than the Klan. But it's not like with these young guys in the street. I mean, that's bad. Killing each other is bad. These young thugs are out of their fucking minds. But when the Klan caught you, man, it wasn't a quick death. Okay? They formed these things called picnics, man. A lot of times, too, when they hung you, that's not a quick death. That's a slow strangulation. Okay? A lot of times they hanging you up, they're cutting your ear. You know, before they hang you up, they're cutting your ears off, mutilating you, cutting body parts off, cutting your penis off. All right. Black women were hung too. It wasn't like these Klan members had no honor. They were cowards. They are cowards. They have no balls. They're nothing. They're less than nothing. They're the toilet. They're underneath the toilet. All right. They're tidy bowl. They're less than nothing. They ain't shit. They hung the women too. Black women. Hanging women. Okay, so all you can have as many white guys on YouTube as you want talking about how black women are special. All right. But their forefathers, their grandpa hung black females from trees. And what you think about the kids? Think they spared the kids? No fucking way. Okay? That bombing in Alabama or Birmingham with the 4 little girls? Klan was behind that, man. They used to bomb, put the crosses on your lawn. Back with our ancestors. Okay? Alright? So to say you're gonna form a relationship with a motherfucker who was the head of the Klan is not only misguided, man. It's treason, man. It's fucking treason, man. That's treason, bro. If you could just sit in the same room with one of them motherfuckers, I couldn't even sit in the same room with a Klan member, man. I would have to remove myself from that situation, man. Those people want my demise, my death. They wanted my forefathers' death. They still do. But now they're more underground because racism has become more refined where they found a way to have us do their dirty work for them in terms of the young black dudes being confused and killing each other. But they still exist, man. There's still Grand Dragons and all that shit. Some of them are on the police force. A lot of them work out here. Now, in the bigger cities, they can't really say what they used to say. But there's still sundown towns, too, man. A lot of these small towns where it's like 3,000, 4,000 people, they still exist, man. My man went down with his wife in Mississippi. So they still have what they call a hanging bridge. That shit is still up. So if you can't expect a Nazi or a Jewish person to be friends with a Nazi, don't expect me to be friends with a Klan member. And Hollywood is pulling some strange shit because Spike Lee had a movie called Black Klansman, some stupid shit, where the black guy goes undercover as a Klansman. Now check this. Now I could tell by what happened with him, some of these Hollywood guys are agents, and the females too. Let me explain. So Spike Lee, I grew up on Spike Lee's movies. School Days, She Gotta Have It, Do the Right Thing, Jungle Fever, all that shit, right? Malcolm X, that's the one that really got him worldwide recognition. Girl Sick, some of them was funny. Mo Better Blues, shit like that, right? Get on the bus, get off the bus. I saw that. I forgot the title. I think it's called Get on the Bus by the Million Man March. She Gotta Have It, Bamboozled, right? Now, he didn't get Oscars for any of those movies. He got nominated for Malcolm X. Nominated for Malcolm X, which I thought was a great movie. Should have won, right? Nominated, right? But he gets an Oscar for Black Klansman. Some fucking bullshit, right? About a black guy going undercover as a Klansman. And I lost all respect. I mean, I met the man finally in I want to say 2005. He didn't have much to say. I got his book and he autographed it. You could barely get 2 words out of him. But when you see him on the shows with white people, he's just all of the mouth. He's very comfortable. So I think and growing up in the inner city, if you was a brother who was a bit smarter, or even some of the thugs, you kind of looked up to Spike Lee because he was the only black film director in Hollywood who had movies that were about us, even though he basically just talked about the black experience in New York, like all blacks lived in New York. But it of course, we're everywhere. He could have expanded that premise, but he didn't. But I lived in New York State, but so you still kind of thought you had that connection, so you kind of respected him, even though you can always tell something wasn't quite right about him. But now it's obvious, man. But that's the second Klan movie that came out in the past 2 years, or the past year. One with a black female being friends with a black Klans member, and the other with a black man going undercover as a Klansman. What's all this shit? And I didn't even know till I just found out. I think Dave Chappelle, he did this a long time ago. I don't know how long he did it, how long ago it was. He's been off the air for quite some time. But he did a skit about being in the Klan with some stupid shit. And I didn't really watch the Chappelle show like that because I never found Dave Chappelle to be that funny. Just like I don't find that this new guy to be that funny either. He's been in more movies. He's a comic. He's been in more movies than I think Eddie Murphy. I think he's one of the funniest motherfuckers I've ever seen. But this guy, his name escapes me right now. But as a comic, period, he's been in more movies than almost Richard Pryor and all these guys. And I don't find him funny at all, really. But my point is, forget the guy's name, but it's not really that important. But my point is, man, that's 2 Klan movies that came out in the past year, man. And Dave Chappelle did a skit where he was blind and he was a Klan member and he didn't know that he was black It's kind of like I know See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Richard Pryor kind of had a scene like that where he was blind and he thought he was white, but he was black. But it was kind of funny. But he didn't pretend to be a Klan member. So some of these Hollywood guys are just borrowing from other films, but then they take that shit, twist it, and then make it a launch pad for something else. Just like in the disclaimer I was talking to you about earlier about that other guy, right? So Dave Chappelle used that, I think, bit that in See No Evil, Hear No Evil from Richard Pryor back in the 80s, where Richard Pryor didn't know he was black because he was blind. This guy Dave Chappelle's character was blind. He thought he was white, so he was a Klan member, and the white guy wouldn't tell him that he was black because he wanted to use him to go against his own people, which actually has more meaning if you really dig deep into that. You know, just go beneath that surface level. That's kind of what they're doing now on a deeper level. That's for another video. But yeah, he wouldn't let his black friend know that he was black. He made him think he was white, and the white guy was a Klan member. So he had his friend assist him in hurting other black people. And so the black man was like white power and all that other goofy shit. But the Klan members was the white people were shocked, like, oh shit, what the fuck is wrong with him? Because when they heard him say, because they had two white guys. It was a scene with Dave Chappelle with the two white guys about to move in and whoop his ass. And Dave Chappelle said, white power, where's the niggers? And he looked around. And some people probably, find that funny, and the white people were shocked. And some people will find that funny. And then then later on in that scene, he had a hood on. He took the hood off, and they were surprised that he was black. But I don't find that shit funny. And then Dave Chappelle sits down and was talking about how he had to put his foot down and not wear a dress. Hollywood wanted him to wear a dress, but he put his foot down and refused to wear a dress. But to me, wearing a Klan outfit is worse, man. Because not only you fucked up in two ways, because the Klan gown, the Klan gown is a dress. It's a one piece, right? It's fit just like a dress. So it's faggot shit. And second, it goes against the survival of your people. They were able to brutally kill black people. And third, it's coward shit because they had a hood on. But what the thing is, they didn't want you to know that they were your cops, they were your policemen, or your cops, your police, same thing. But they were your judges, your lawyers, your councilmen. Because if you knew who they really were, and some blacks did, but if you knew who they really were, then you wouldn't trust the system. So that's why they used to wear those fucking hoods. Not so much to be afraid of blacks, but they wanted to keep blacks confused and say, oh yeah, well, make you think, because by night he's the Klan and by day he's the police officer. By night he's the Klan, by day he's the governor. By night he's the Klan, and they were in prominent, just like what i.e. David do, right? So yeah, to me, he already sold out. When he wore that Klan outfit, he sold out. Because you're trying to make a skit about something that I wouldn't find funny. I haven't seen any Jewish people impersonate Nazis, even in a comedy skit. Now, if you see it, you could send me a link, but I haven't seen that done. Even if it was done, I still don't think Dave Chappelle should have did that. But I don't see that being done too often, man. Because somebody would check that Jewish dude. So what the fuck are you doing? I don't see any Jewish guys dressing up like Adolf Hitler. I don't see it, man. So they shouldn't expect us to do that shit either. But I don't want to get off on Hollywood or a side tangent. But the video is more about Atwater and about even though Hollywood was involved in making her movie. It's really about black women's confusion, man, about white men and white people in general. To think that you could form a relationship with a Klan member is not only being a traitor, but I mean they talking about black dudes getting with white women. But the thing is, all white women aren't racist. You were with the Klan leader, and they were sitting down at some of these functions, and it looked like they were quite possibly dating. It's like, bro, sis, and I can't even call you sis. You a traitor. You know what I'm saying? This is a dude who was a Klan leader. He won just because you. They won't let just any white person join. You got to really be with them. You got to really want to kill black people. There's a lot of people that they won't let join. You got to really want to be a part of the Klan in order for them to accept you. They don't accept every white, right? Huh? So not only were you was with a guy who was in it and climbed the ranks to the top. And you gonna form how the fuck? And that just shows me that the civil rights movement had to be a joke too, man. You forged a relationship with a white Klan member, a leader, the Grand Dragon, whatever the fuck. The leader. This motherfucker climbed the ranks. They ain't gonna let just anybody join, but the lead, god damn, he wasn't just a manager. The leader, he was the worst of all of them. To form a relationship, you think a leader of the Klan could ever change? To be the leader, you as deep in that shit as you could possibly get. Ain't no getting out, man. Your mentality ain't no changing that. You might find a way to mask it, but you always gonna be that motherfucker. And what's dangerous about that is he only have to do his own dirty work. But black women are confused, man. They're very confused, man. They're very confused, man. They it's almost like I made a video about that too. Like the black woman is the new plantation overseer, man. And the black community is like the new plantation. It's kind of true, man. Like that kind of gives credit to that video, man. I mean, and now it's just getting obvious. Like it's getting. I was trying to make a metaphor between black women, you know, raising these gangster thugs, but now with that movie, now it's becoming literal. Or hell yeah, because Ann Atwater being at the forefront of the civil rights movement automatically makes her a part of the womanist movement, right? And she's a woman's leader as well, along with C. Dolores Tucker and the rest of them, right? So now that's the leader of black women. So and she fit exactly, and those leaders are gonna pretty much they're the telltale of what the movement is all about. And you could tell that womanist civil rights is another branch of white supremacy. So when I made that video, I was kind of hitting it right on the head, man. That's why the Klan don't even have to really invade the big cities anymore, because they got they got brainwashed black females that don't even know that they're doing it. You know, whipping the kids and coming with all that negativity and all that shit and hating every man because of their personal choices, because they choose fucked up men. They're the new overseers. So almost like Carter G. Woodson was saying too, man. I think he made some metaphor that he was talking about how, if you have a brainwashed black person and if you tell them, okay, you can't go through door A, which is the easiest door to go through, they have to go through door B. He said even if it is no door B, they'll make one because he has the miseducation of the Negro. He has the black, I think the black female or somebody with uh, a lock on their head with a steel bar. You know, even if they tell him, hey man, you know that's whites only. You only go through here. Even though that's the only door to go through, he'll make another door just so he don't disobey the law. You know, good Negro type. But I just want to make this video, man. It went way too long. I appreciate all the new subscribers, man. Channel starting to grow. Like I said, peace to all the positive females and things of that nature. But I am going to still talk about the black female negativity because it still is rampant. It's everywhere, and it's blatant, and it's disgusting, man. All right. But be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you on the other side, man.